Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Prep Report. Rich Estrella here, along with Randy Rosenbluth, Bob Gibson, and Dan DeForest. And our guest today will be Mayfair head coach Derek Bedell of Mayfair High School. Happy everybody joined us today. And yeah, man, they're playing football now. And we're not just a football show, we're an everything show. But man, we're just so happy that football's back. And it is the largest team sport. And there's a lot of interest in it, and it is going great guns right now. So we'll get to talk a little bit about that tonight, see how everything's going. How is everybody doing on the panel tonight?
Doing good.
You guys awake? Can you hear me now?
Doing great.
Can you hear the words coming out of my mouth? Come on, guys. Come on.
No, it's good. Just like you said, good to see football back. You're right. It's the biggest sport for the fall.
Biggest team sport, baby.
Going on right now. Everything's going to be a mishmash of sports, and we're going to get to talk about all of them here at some point. Randy wants to talk volleyball at some point. I'm going to want to talk baseball. We're going to get into everything. But for football, obviously, all the headlines this past week, and just fun to see everybody back on the field and just smiles on everybody's faces. It's been a long time since I think we saw that many smiles when it came to high school athletics.
Let's go to DeForest.
Guys, I was thrilled that we finally got an LA City section team out there. I know El Camino had a tough night at Agoura and lost by 50 points, 56-6. They didn't have the preparation time Agoura did, but it was just great to see an LA City section team compete. They were a charter, so they got the go-ahead. Other than charters, the rest of the group will start the week of April 9th. So the LA City section did finally get a team on the football field, and that was great.
Randy, I was shocked that the LA City section even came back. I thought for sure they were done. They pretty much canceled things early. They were in the lead, but I'm glad they opened up. I didn't anticipate that.
Neither did I, Rich. I think that's a very valid point. I think that's really credit to the community for us to get the numbers down, and then the LAUSD had the confidence to bring these schools back, starting with conditioning and getting them on the field. So we all should be applauded for doing a nice job with the protocols, getting the numbers down, getting it into the right tier, and enabling these young men, especially the seniors, to get back into a position where they could play. So I'm excited that the LA City section will perform. The charter schools will play 6 or 7 games. The rest of the schools, like I said, will begin April 9th and will play 4 games because they can go all the way till April 30th.
Randy, it's good to see you got rid of the cyber COVID, because the last couple of weeks when you were down with that crap, oh my God. The emails
I was
got,
just
Randy.
incognito, Rich. I just, with my popularity, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't overrun with the fan support.
I thought Randy was like the Predator.
Worked.
Remember that movie, The Predator,
Yeah.
where he used to just camouflage into things?
Randy, it
I
worked.
thought that was Randy.
Yeah, it worked. He looked like a watermark, man, pretty much. Hey, Dan, what's going on in Orange County, man? What do you know out there right now? I know you coach a little bit. I know you're kind of retired right now because your kids are starting to play at the high school level, doing a lot of sports, but what's the pulse like down? Everybody fired up about getting back? Go, Dan, go.
Oh, yeah. And I was very surprised. There were a lot. Yeah, I was very surprised. I thought they were very sharp. I mean, I watched some of the Servite, and I watched some of the, the Bosco game, and those quarterbacks were sharp. They were throwing, bombs down the field, 80-yard passes, and they're hitting them right in stride. So I don't, they missed too much been work, it looks like. So it's going to be really exciting these upcoming. Got some good competition going.
I think Dan, I think your lines there caught some of Randy's COVID from a couple weeks back, man, because I don't know what happened to you right now, but I kind of got the gist of it. I'm sure everybody's back on every level.
Stuck a little bit?
You're good now. You snapped out of it. You were stuck. You stuck again? He's stuck, guys. Look at him. He's stuck. Come on, Dan.
Okay.
Clean it up your act, brother.
Am I stuck?
Comes and goes.
All right. Hang on, Dan. Time out.
Dang, I'm getting a new computer too then.
That's what it took Randy. Randy went out there and finally got rid of his computer that ran on Cobalt. Wasn't even DOS.
Hey,
Anyways,
Dan, I can give you some good advice on where to buy a computer.
Hey, guys, real quick before we move on, talk more.
Let me jump in with the thought real quick, because
Go ahead.
I thought Dan made a good point. The Bosco game was interesting, right? Because it was against Sierra Canyon. I think Sierra Canyon is a good program, but of course we're talking about Bosco and national power here. But I think if Sierra Canyon ever had a chance to make a run at a Bosco,
Bob's stuck too now.
first half, that was going to be the week they were going to be able to do it. But, Bosco's Bosco, and they pulled away 42-21 at the end. The other Trinity game was Servite and Damien, which I thought was another interesting matchup because Damien's at private school out in Laverne, out in the IE, that St. Gabriel Valley area, and they really want to try to step up in competition. They want to become one of those Trinity League schools, one of those private league powers. They're going to try to get there. But 42-6, they got pretty well handled by Servite. Servite's on a whole different level this year as well. So, the Trinity League is still going to be the Trinity League this year. We'll see Mater Dei and J. Sarah open the season against one another, curiously enough, this week as well. So I just thought that was interesting. Damien stepping up, Sierra Canyon stepping up. And I think it's fun to see that, even in a crazy season like this.
The only
That Servite offense with Noah Fafita at the controls. He threw for almost 300 yards in the first half, nearly 400 for the game. And he's got T-Mac, that 6'4" wide receiver, a great group of receivers. So Servite is for real. It's going to get real interesting when they hook up against Mater Dei and St. John Bosco. The Trinity League now has really got three great football teams.
Oh, that's news. Dude.
Well, Servite has improved. That's really news. I think they're a threat.
Hey, this just in. Trinity League is good at football. Listen, man, those guys get everybody. Even the 0-5 team in league gets into the playoffs every year. That's how good that league is. It's a professional league. Those guys have been recruiting since the beginning of time. Since 1 AD, they've been recruiting athletes in the Archdiocese. So Damien's got a long way to go. Sierra Canyon's got a long way to go before they get on that level of recruiting. Those guys wrote the book on how to do it. Back when it was illegal to recruit, when it was illegal to have people, come in, all they had to do was pull out a lawsuit and the kid got to play, So other schools have a long way to go before they can get to that level. And something else, if I'm a great athlete, guys, I might want to stay in the neighborhood school for one reason. I get better. Let's take basketball, for example. How many guys of some of these great modern-day basketball teams have gone to the pros? How many? They stomp everybody. They've been stomping everybody from these travel teams. They have the travel team leagues that all converge and go to Mater Dei. They got the best of the best. When I pass the ball and I got everybody on my team's an all-star, I never get that ball back. I never progress in my game. So these guys have a ways to go, man, before they can get on a level where they get all the all-stars at this level. I
will say this about Sierra Canyon. I want to give some kudos to John Illinghouse, the coach there.
Oh, yeah.
He's really built that program up. They started as a lower division power, won some state titles, and they've come all the way up to even get on the field and compete and do it well against St. John Bosco. Losing by 3 touchdowns to the Braves is no disgrace. That just tells you how far Sierra Canyon and Illinghouse have come.
Yeah.
Oh, they were in that game, Randy. They were in that game for a while. They were in that thing.
They're in that game until they weren't, right? Very good insight, guys. Very good. All right, Randy. So you're telling us, Randy, what did you take away from calling that game last week? The teams just don't seem very sharp at this point in time. Don't they?
Was like in mid-season form, which was kind of shocking to me how well they, performed. Their execution level was great. El Camino Real really struggled. They had not participated. Agoura had an opportunity to scrimmage against Calabasas, and ECR didn't have a scrimmage. And the fact that Agoura, the Chargers, were able to work out the kinks was a huge advantage. Agoura, again, looked like they were ready to play. El Camino Real, it's going to take a little while. They're going to play Brentwood this week. And talking to Jason Zabalik, their coach, he said, hey, we got blown out. We had a great learning lesson. This week, even if we lose, I just want to see improvement because it's about participation and getting ready for the West Valley League season where the competition other than Birmingham will come down a little bit. So after Brentwood, they'll have Harvard Westlake. Then they have to jump into West Valley League against Birmingham. With the final 3 games, I think El Camino Real can do some damage. But again, they're looking just to improve. That's what was my takeaway from it. They really weren't ready. They had only been on the field for 3 weeks. Agoura certainly had more time to get prepared.
Certainly, and that is big when you have football. You have a lot of guys to move around. Hey, let's bring in our guest tonight. We have Derek Bedell standing by from Mayfair High School. Bedell, successful coach, been at Mayfair for about 5 or 6 years now. Done a really good job. Got himself to some semifinals. Coach, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Fantastic, Coach. Now, You're one of the coaches out there that they were kind of dangling the stick in front of you. You know, they kept saying, well, we might start in December, we might start in January. I mean, off and on. And I thought for sure it was dead now. I did. I didn't think there was going to be any football this year. What's it been like as the head coach to try to keep your team together, number one, because you're not allowed to play more than one sport in any season. You have to kind of divvy up some of the athletes at your school. But what's it been like, you know, where it's almost like a game of cat and mouse, whether or not you're going to play and have a season?
Well, you always got to have hope, and that's been a huge thing and one thing that we've discussed with our players since we left campus a year ago. The idea is that if you go day by day and you continue to try and give kids hope, then there's a chance that they'll be successful and we get the chance to play. So as far as getting our kids together, I really commend our football team. They've done an excellent job, and my coaching staff on keeping our core group of kids together for basically a year in Zoom meetings, Zoom workouts, Zoom installs. We had Zoom football camp in September so that when they did tell us we could play, we were ready to go.
Well, I mean, it's got to be probably the toughest area dealing with this COVID business this last year for any coach. I mean, you're all in it together. At any time, did you think you would not have a season?
I think it always creeps into the back of your mind when you see things going on across the country, and you see some high schools getting to play, some high schools not getting to play across the country. I think that watching college football be successful for the most part, it helped us. I don't think that I ever really gave up hope. There were some days where we were pretty down and pretty frustrated, but you just come back the next day, fight again. It's just how you got to do it.
Yeah, we talked about this many times on this show about the fact that the Midwest and the South all play. They played 14, 15-game schedules. Look on Max Preps. Look at the top 20. You know, a lot of these schools played more than 10, 12 games this year. No reason California couldn't have done the same thing. We had it to, of everybody that had it in this country, we were probably per capita one of the least hit states. We probably could have played in hindsight.
Well, I think that really, I like to use the term as above my pay grade.
Yep.
That's other people. I have opinions on that. I wasn't afraid to voice my opinion when it came to certain things. When it came to playing and being a part of the organization of coaches here, the Golden State Coaches Association, and working with our governor and our local leaders and assembly people to try and get football and other sports. It's not just about football.
Right.
It may be the sport I coach, but I look out today, for instance, we're out there in a walkthrough. The baseball team's practicing, the softball team's practicing, the cross-country team's running around the campus, the basketball team's working on the outdoor court, and our girls soccer program is playing a game. So it is a busy time. But to see these kids out there and to know that me as a coach and somebody that stood up, when these kids didn't have a voice, it's rewarding to get a chance to see their smiles. Like you guys were talking about that a little while ago. The smiles on these kids' faces is unbelievable. It really is. And that's the biggest thing. That is awesome.
And the impact on your team, did you lose a lot of kids that are playing other sports right now?
No, we haven't. We've had a few that over the course of the year that have chosen to not play football or chosen to play another sport, and that's fine. They got to do what they think is best for them. Our numbers are pretty good, but yeah, I mean there is a little bit of that at Mayfair, but we're also kind of sharing some kids a little bit. And that's just kind of the way it is. Our kicker works with a soccer program some days, and that's just how it goes right now.
Any questions, guys?
Yeah, hey, Coach, just wanted to ask you, when everything was sort of still shut down, we didn't know what was going on. What was the communication like with your team, and how were you able to kind of check in on them, make sure they were doing the things that you wanted them to be doing to keep in shape and to be ready for this opportunity now that they have?
Well, I think we had a really big advantage in that my son plays college football. So we actually invested some money in some technology and apps that allowed us to communicate with our players in multitudes of ways. Our playbook and our offense, defense, and special teams are all online now, so they have easy access to that. We have an app that basically is a scheduling app for all my kids. I can do all my Zoom meetings and everything through there. So investing some money and some effort in that it holds the kids accountable, and we were able to keep them on track as far as workouts and installs and things like that, using those type of things. It's been a great tool for us, and it just took a little investment and a little bit of time and research.
Coach, I know that you believe that practice is the key to becoming a good football team, and if you play hard in practice, you'll perform well in a game. Is it easy for you to get the kids to practice hard now because they're happy to be back? And can you evaluate them properly since there's been such a long layoff?
That's a really good question, really good point. The evaluation part is fairly simple. We are able to evaluate. We've been on campus in workouts and the conditioning stuff since November. So we've had a chance to evaluate our kids for quite a while. As far as the practice, it's a little bit different in that you don't have the summer camp to set the tempo for everything as far as practice goes. The kids are really fired up and they're excited to be there. Sometimes you get everything out of them, sometimes you don't. To me, it's really been a typical camp season for us. I haven't really had to change much of what we do other than to focus on the conditioning aspect of it.
Dan, anything for you, bud? Dan's asleep.
I feel like you've had enough full contact. Do you feel like you've had enough full contact practice with pads?
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
We were that hasn't been that big of an issue. I don't think, at least from my standpoint. I mean, when we got on the field and played our first game last Friday night against Santa Margarita, we were ready to go. I mean, our kids were excited. They were fired up. I felt like we were prepared. We didn't tackle very well. That's going to be one thing that I think all coaches are going to struggle with. It's been a year and a half since most of these guys have hit and tackled. So I think that as the season goes on and as we're able to practice more, that's going to improve. But as far as keeping the players safe and providing enough practice days, we were able to get in the number of CIF contact practices that are required and mandated, and I don't feel like that was an issue as much as the length of time off we had as far as the fundamentals of the game.
Interesting, Coach. Well, you know what? I'm glad to see that you guys are still doing what Mayfair does, and that's go out and play the best teams in the preseason. I know it's a truncated season. I get that, but putting Santa Margarita on your schedule, a Trinity League team that has some tradition, a lot of tradition actually. It's good to see you guys up there, taking on the big guys. I think that's the only way you get better, Coach, is playing better teams.
Absolutely, and this is I think this was the 5th year in a row we played a Trinity League team. We played Santa Margarita. This was the 4th time we played them, and then we played Mater Dei 5 years ago when JT Daniels was a sophomore. That was an interesting evening.
I bet.
But, I fully agree with that. I like to say Mike Machete, the head coach at La Mirada High School, we're rivals in league, but he and I are really close friends. And I kind of got this philosophy from working on his staff in 2010. You get better when you play really good opponents. And when Santa Margarita rolled into our place on Friday night and they got out on the field and I was like, geez, man, those guys are big. And we kind of feel that way every year we play them. And we hung in there for the first half. And if it wasn't for three and outs in a hurry, it would have been a much closer game at the half. I mean, it was 6-0 or 8-0 at the end of the first quarter. And we battled and our kids got better. And I agree with you, Rich. If we play one of those opponents every year to try and make our football program better.
Well, you know what? You got to run faster. You got to try a lot harder when you're playing a Trinity League school in the preseason. Not just even in the Moore League, where all the speed is. It's good to play teams that have tradition that are better than you because that's how you get better. And that was kind of the analogy I was talking about with basketball. When you play on a team of all-stars, how you really don't get that much better. You don't have to try as hard. You really don't. Everybody
it's not
can
just
shoot,
that.
everybody
it's
can rebound.
The amount of practice and the amount of game reps you get against a high quality opponent, it makes you faster. It makes you work harder. I mean, our starting center, I bet he weighs 210 pounds soaking wet.
Wow.
And their nose guard weighed 275. And our kid Garrett Sullivan battled that guy all night long, and that's what we want to see from that. We want to win, but we want to see if our kids are willing to take on a challenge, and if they are they going to fight for 4 quarters? And we fought our tails off for 4 quarters. That I will not deny our players.
Yeah, no, good job over there, man, and that's the way you do it. That is exactly the way you do it. Coach, is it a little weird not being able to play for something at the end of the season if you do well? Playoffs?
It's a little different, but I think that in this situation that we're in, just giving kids an opportunity to be on the field participating is a win. And that's a kind of a championship type of win in and of itself.
True.
So that's kind of the attitude that we've taken with our players. It's kind of the attitude we've taken with our team. Yeah, do we want to win every game? Absolutely. But we want to make sure that these seniors get off on the right note and have a good season. And not playing for a CIF championship is just one of those challenges we have to deal with here in spring football.
Yeah, that's true. Now, what's in terms of fan base? What are they allowing? What's the rule right now since you're there in real time? Do you know? Is it an administration thing?
Each one of our families is allowed 4 family members, direct family members in the stadium every night. So from that standpoint, they got a chance to be there. It was definitely weird. It was quiet. There was no band. There was no cheerleaders.
No drill team, nothing like that.
We're warming up in an empty stadium. But just having some parents there to cheer their kids on both sides, Santa Margarita side and our side, was fantastic.
Yeah, very more passionate too when it's just the family members, you know. Interesting at that. Hey, Bob, what about the game you called this week? You're out at Villa Park, and by the way, Deuce Anchich didn't coach that game. That's why the team looked off, not able to make those the adjustments that were necessary. But what was it like out there, Bob?
Well, it was a cold night, first of all.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah,
but it was good competition, and I think people probably consider Orange beating Villa Park a bit of an upset, and it may be. But that Orange team has been really good. You played right up to getting a chance to play for a CIF championship a couple of years ago. That's a program that's really on the rise. But and we know how good that Villa Park team's been for a while. But I think we really saw 2 teams that were kind of a little slow to begin with, trying to get back into it. And once they did, I thought both teams looked pretty good. Could have been a player or 2 either way, and either one of those teams could have won. But give Orange a lot of credit. The Panthers, if this was a regular season, I'd say look for them come playoff time. They look like they'd be a tough team. We're not going to get to see that as we just talked about again. But it's still fun to see these programs that are coming. A neighborhood school like Orange that hasn't been good for a long, long time. They're really good again.
How eerie was it having a lack of fans there and a lack of other participation from the student body, like a band, like a drill team?
Yeah, it's funny. We it didn't seem that strange. They had cheerleaders and band were there. They had a DJ spinning some records as well. So there was a lot of noise. I think Orange County is maybe a little bit different than LA County as far as that's concerned. The cheerleaders were allowed in. And there was a band there, so it felt more like a football atmosphere, to be honest.
Randy, what about you doing the Camino game last week?
Yeah, they allowed cheerleaders. It was nice. They were right to the right of me, so we had a good group of cheerleaders from Agoura there. There was no band. The fans, it was interesting. They were spaced out, socially distanced on both sides. El Camino brought a lot of people. By a lot, that's probably 150 people nowadays. I would say there was 150 individuals on both sides in the stand. So you had probably 300 people there. And along with the cheerleaders, it made for a nice atmosphere, which certainly was a welcome sight for all of us.
Well, it's not a surprise Agoura Hills would have cheerleaders on their sidelines because, as Bob Gibson will tell you, those guys are the world champions in cheerleaders. They win all these national competitions constantly. Remember back in the day, we were at Time Warner doing sports. We did a story on those guys, and man, that group, that coach, that lady coach that coaches those cheerleaders could coach anything. She could coach anything. She can coach a dog to bark. She could coach the football team. Coach Bedell, if she comes to your school wanting the job, she'll probably get it because she can coach. You should see this, man. She had that place organized. She was screaming. These girls were scared of her. They were running station to station. It was a lot of fun, though. It was a lot of fun.
There are times where she could have it. There are times she could come and take it.
And they're national champions, that like 5-time national champs. And I'm telling you, all those girls, every time they did somersaults, flips, everything was to a T. They're throwing them in the air, catching them. I mean, I thought for sure a couple of these chicks were going to hit the ground after being thrown 20 feet in the air, but they caught them every time. Totally.
Yeah, they were good. The cheerleaders were good, and I felt safe there. I do have a question for Bob. Did you do the game when you announced it with a mask? I did. I had a mask on when he's doing the play-by-play the whole game. I had it on.
Did not have a mask on. Wasn't sure I needed to have one, so made that decision on my own. I wasn't comfortable wearing one. If I would have had to, sure. If there were people around me, absolutely, I would have had the mask on. But didn't feel the need to wear it. Where I was at, I was not in close proximity to anybody, but John, my color commentator on the game. So
nothing personal, John. Bob, you look better with the mask on. Just saying.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I was told
we were the only two in close proximity to each other. Nobody else was around us, so I didn't feel like I needed to wear the mask.
Your good friends here are telling me to say that to you, so that's why. I don't. No judgment here. Hey, real quick, guys. Jared Lucas, the tactical basketball player a couple years ago who broke the all-time scoring CIF Southern Section record. There he is right there, number 2, playing at Oregon State. And that's not a flop, man. That guy shoved him down. Look at him, 26 career-high points in that game against Stanford. But he's in the tournament, second leading scorer on his team. I think he averages 21 points a night or something like that. Maybe 2,000 a night, whatever. But he's blown it up. It's great to see that he was not a flash in the pan. And this is a guy that stayed at his neighborhood school, had to work his tail off, and this is what he's doing now. He's fantastic.
Yeah, played for his dad. He played for his dad at Los Altos and did a great job there. And he presents a real problem for defenses. He can really stretch a defense because of his great shooting ability, and we obviously know he can score. He scored over 3,000 points and is the all-time leading scorer after his career at Los Altos in the CIF Southern Section. But it's great to see him as a sophomore having this kind of success at the Pac-12 level. I'm sure he'll have a nice night when he goes into the NCAA tournament.
Randy, I was at the game when he set the record.
Remember we did the show out at Los Altos?
What's that?
We did the show out there. We talked to him. We met him. Such a great young man, and he's got a great head on his shoulders. And I think some people raised their eyebrows and thought, "Well, is this kid really a Pac-12 player?" And I think the three of us came away going, "Yeah, this is a kid who I think is going to raise his game up."
He's an NBA player, Bob. What do you mean Pac-12?
Really awesome.
Listen to Bob. He's an NBA player, Bob. He's no Pac-12 player. Come on. Hey, listen. Just real quick.
We had no doubt about it that he was a Pac-12 player. I'm just saying there were some people, the experts,
the night he set the record. I think it was Ayala or some school, but I remember they tried to stop him from breaking the record. He needed 38 points or something that night. These guys were trying to trip him. They were hanging onto his jock. They were scratching him, clawing him. Somebody slapped him in the head. This was all going down during the game. It was a nasty look, but this dude didn't faze him, man. He went for it, and he had that. He could have got a lot more too. But congratulations! It's good to see that Lucas from Los Altos High, the CIF Southern Section's all-time leading scorer, is alive and well and doing great things in the Pac-12 and his teams in the NCAA tournament. Hey guys, we're done. Larry's ready to cut my head off. He's been going like this for a half hour now, and I just keep waving him off, but I can't wave him off anymore, fellas. Got to move on. Hey, Coach Bedell, thanks for joining us tonight. Really appreciate having you. You're a good guy, great coach. Keep it up. Good luck to you, man. We'll be following your progress, and we'll be talking to you again real soon.
Thanks. I appreciate it. You guys have a great show. I appreciate you having me on.
All right. Hey, Randy, congratulations on beating the cyber COVID. You're looking good. And Dan?
I'm trying, Rich. I'm really trying.
Dan had a little touch of it today, though. We saw that. And Bob, don't laugh. You did too. Thank you.
Hey,
all right. On behalf of everybody, I'm Rich Estrella saying so long, people, friends here at the SoCal Prep Report. Join us next week live. Good night, everybody.